For the past few episodes, we've been talking about the crypto winter and how there were starting to be signs of recovery emerging. That all flew out the window like Bankman-Fried flew to the Bahamas when his cryptocurrency FTT collapsed along with FTX and Alameda Research. What's next in the cryptoverse? It's very likely this crypto winter will be extended to the end of this year, which is just around the corner, and possibly to the end of next year as well. What can we do? Listen to this episode of Future Digital. Obviously, a lot of people are horrified at the events of the past couple weeks, with tens of billions of dollars potentially disappearing and criminal probes launched against Bankman-Fried and his top-level staff from FTX and Alameda. The company is basically in bankruptcy, so what does this mean? It means that any potential money recovered will first go to creditors. If there's any left over, then it will go to investors. And if there's anything left over after that, the customers themselves are finally next in line. This means that people are generally scared to buy cryptocurrencies. And if there are no large buyers, it will largely leave the entire sector vulnerable. This, coupled with upcoming regulations by the IMF, are what are extending this crypto winter. To make matters worse, a third variable enters this unstable equation, and I'm talking about US interest rates and whether they're lowered or raised. The dismantling, or rather unraveling, of the FTX mystery is more than likely to produce some so-called second-order effects, as it becomes clearer who, or what, has had any sort of interaction with FTX and Alameda, and the potential liabilities arising from that. This makes me think of Russia. I'm not saying they're involved in this, but before they attacked Ukraine, everyone thought their military was powerful and modern. The whole thing, it turns out, was just bluster. Deadly bluster for sure, but still a bluff. No one wants to trade with them, they can't get or produce what they need, and as they continue to hold out in their attacks, their liabilities keep mounting, and by this I mean war reparations. And the list of war crimes charges against their leadership and officers and soldiers and even regular citizens keeps mounting. Every second, the situation gets worse for all involved, and that even goes for foreign companies and their lost investments and trading partners. The whole thing is just a big crap sandwich, and everyone's gonna have to take a bite.
It's a huge shit sandwich, and we're all gonna have to take a bite.
It should be noted, poor liquidity in the cryptoverse is also going to stick around for a year and maybe even increase in severity. Stablecoins, for example, have risen to circa 18% of the total crypto market cap. But that market cap itself has dropped from $1 trillion at the end of last month to just 800 billion as of last week. Remember that stablecoins are pegged to something that's, well, supposedly stable, like the US dollar or gold. This in turn has led to increasing hash rates. Hash rates are how computing power devoted to mining Bitcoin is measured. It depends on energy costs, which are rising, and weaker Bitcoin prices themselves. The final result? Bitcoin is more difficult to produce. All of these factors together severely damage investor confidence in the entire sector. Remember my statement that economics is an emotional science. This is a perfect example of that. People feel fear, and for good reason. And this in turn negatively affects the cryptoverse. Bitcoin is the world's largest cryptocurrency, obviously, and its value has nosedived by 65% in the past year. Ether, the second most valuable cryptocurrency, has lost 20% of its value in the past couple of weeks alone. These two currencies together make up more than half of the entire cryptoverse. Now that FTX has completely collapsed, many are concerned about the future of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. Will they even stick around? That is the trillion Bitcoin question. Personally, I find it hard to believe that crypto and blockchain are going anywhere. They're here to stay. Maybe not in their current forms, probably not, in fact. But crypto and blockchain are young, new. There's never been anything like them before, so that means they're misunderstood. I'd like to make the analogy of a child growing up. As a baby boy, no one knows what he's going to look like when he grows up. Sometimes adults aren't as attractive as their parents had hoped. FTX, for example, that's a fugly baby now. He's also an unsuccessful baby. How do you make a better baby in the future? It's not like you can try doing it in different positions and that would somehow make a difference. But everyone in society has a purpose, even the failures. Failures are often the best, in fact, because we can all learn from them. By failing, FTX has taught us what not to do, or more indirectly, what to do next time. Today, there are an estimated 20,000 cryptocurrencies. With proper regulation, or maybe even with proper unregulation, one or more of these cryptocurrencies we've heard about are bound to grow up to take the reins and steer the herd to greener, rainier pastures. Listen to that sentence again and count the puns and double entendres. And that's how many successful cryptocurrencies will emerge in the near future. Remember, crypto is an alternative to money. Diversification of how you live is just as important as diversification of what you eat and what you invest in. What's my point? Be patient, but be optimistic. The beauty of the cryptoverse is specifically how it operates. It's a window of opportunity for regular people to get their foot in the door of the financial system. Blockchain technology essentially allows for a hyper-efficient mechanism for capitalism. Capitalism itself is flawed, but it's still better than any alternative we have these days. There are two reasons the powers that be aren't yet with regard to the cryptoverse. They normally have a pretty good idea of what's happening in the traditional finance industry, but they don't understand this new stuff, and so they don't know how to access its transparency. They can't look behind the digital curtain. That's not our fault, it's theirs. At the end of the day, FTX was just a trading exchange. A fugly baby. Here's looking at you, kid, and see ya or not.
He's looking at you, kid.
This episode's fact about Estonia is that Estonia is officially the world's first paperless government. Dubai sure likes to claim that prize, but nope, it's Estonia. All government services are available online, digitally, using the country's official ID card, or even more conveniently, the digital ID, also the first in the world to exist. With this, you don't even need the little plastic card. You can log on just using your phone. It allows you to vote, sign legally binding documents without touching a pen. As a result, zero voting fraud. In fact, the last two services that aren't available digitally are soon to move in that direction. I'm talking about marriage and divorce. I guess the government just likes to torture its citizens. But what is the benefit of having a completely paperless government? Efficiency, speed, lack of bureaucracy, and a surplus of toilet paper on government facilities. But in reality, Estonia had no choice but to make the government paperless. They're cutting down all the trees and calling it a renewable resource.